Welcome everyone to Doug's Amp of the Day, episode 4, or I might say Amps of the Day. These are Music Man amplifiers from, approximately 1975, which is the company Leo Fender was affiliated with after he sold Fender to CBS. And they do have a Fender-like sound, only they're a little bit cleaner. They do have a tube output stage, but they have a solid state preamp. So his thinking was to make an amp that was a little bit cleaner sounding with more headroom, and an amp that would distort a little bit less, which is hard to imagine these days when everything has, incredible amounts of distortion available. So let's start from the left side. This is the 65 watt on the left and the 130 watt on the right. These amps, like I said, have a solid state preamp, but they have a tube power amp stage. The 65 watt on the left uses a pair of 6CA7 output tubes, which are the American equivalent of the English EL34 tube. Just to throw that out there, it gets a little bit more complicated than that. But let's just say they've got EL34s in them, because that is what's in them at this point. Now, this particular one has a 12AX7 tube in the phase inverter stage to drive the power amp. The other 130 watt has a solid state phase inverter, so there's a difference there. They went to all solid state phase inverters. I'm not really sure why. Probably a reliability issue. But going from left to right, you've got two sets of inputs, inputs 1 and 2. Input 2 is attenuated, so you get a little less output on that. Your 2-band EQ, treble and bass, and your volume control. So the next channel, the channel with the reverb and the tremolo, has the same two inputs, but it also has the addition of a bright switch, which gives you a treble boost at lower volumes. So you have volume, treble, middle, and bass. Your reverb control, it does have a long reverb tank and a longer decay reverb. The reverb sounds great. And a tremolo control with the same two knobs that you're familiar with from Fender, with speed and intensity. Only the intensity knob on this one works the same from 1 to 5, but after 5 it adds kind of a pitch modulation effect. So from 5 to 10 it acts more like a Leslie rotating speaker cabinet. Now on this particular amp, the tremolo is not working correctly, but it is on the other one there. So when you run both amps together with the tremolo just on one amp, it's a big, beautiful, spacious sound. Finally, you've got a master volume control, which is handy because that allows you to go back to your channel volume control, turn it up for some distortion if you desire, and then cut that down with the master control. And finally, you have a deep switch, which adds a bass boost, and a power switch, high-low power switch. The low power switch runs less voltage to the output tubes, from what I understand, and allows it to break up a little bit earlier. Pretty good blues sounding tone that way. You've got the same controls on the 130 watt. Only difference between the two amps that I can tell is this one, of course, being 130 watts, has 4 power tubes instead of 2. And the other difference on this is, instead of having the tube phase inverter, it has the solid state phase inverter. And also this amp has been retrofitted with JBL E110s. Both of these amps have two 10-inch speakers. These JBLs are a lot more articulate and more hi-fi sounding to my ears, and they handle the high headroom of this amp really well. I think you could probably run like steel guitar through this and have a really good sound that way. They're not too good on distortion for my ears, but that's everyone's got a different idea of what kind of tone they want. So what we're going to do is we'll fire up this 65 watt first, and I'll try to give you the once over on what it does, and then we'll run both of them together. Okay, I'm going through input 1 on the Reverb Tremolo channel. Got the bright switch off, volume at 3, treble, middle, and bass all between 3 and 4. Reverb at about 2.5. I've got the tremolo control set to the off position. Both the reverb and tremolo are foot switchable, but I don't have the foot switch hooked up. Tremolo's not working on this, so I've got the tremolo off. I've got the master on about 6. Hopefully it's not too loud, but here's what it sounds like. I'm going to turn the reverb up a little bit. It can actually get pretty surfy sounding. Let's turn it up to 7. You get the idea. I usually run it just where it's first starting to come on, about 2.5. Now what we're going to do is we'll see what kind of distortion it'll make. First we'll turn the master down. We'll turn the preamp up to about 7, and then gradually turn the master up. It's got that ratty sound in solid state distortion, but it does that convincingly well. I'll turn the reverb up just a little more. Now if you turn, I've got the volume set at 7. You can use that as your pre-gain basically. Now if I were to turn it up to 10, it gets really that transistory solid state buzzy kind of sound, which may have a use for something, but generally not for me. But here's what that sounds like. I don't know, maybe something. Not too bad. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run both amps together, pretty much set them like initially I had this one set with a clean sound, and then I'm going to add I'm going to leave the reverb on this one, and I'm going to turn the tremolo on the 130 watt, and I'm just going to daisy chain them together. I'm going to go into input 1 on that amp, and I'm going to come out of input 2 and go into input 1 on this amp, and you'll get to hear them both together with that tremolo. So we'll see what that sounds like. Okay, I've got both amps going. I've got the volume, treble, middle, and bass on both of them between 3 and 4. Reverb is at 2.5 on this 65 watt amp. The master on both of them is set at 7, so basically they're both set for a clean sound. So let's see what they sound like together. First the 130. Now I'm going to blend in the 65. And now the cool thing, I'm going to turn the tremolo with the intensity on about 7 and the speed on about 7. And let's just see what it sounds like with tremolo on one amp and reverb on the other one. It's my favorite thing to do. I'll probably be doing this for a while. So, tremolo, intensity. Kind of reminds me of like a Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds type tone or something like that. But and I know this phone's not picking it up like audio should be picked up, but hopefully it'll translate and you'll get the idea. So I'll be playing out of this rig for a while, probably just in this room. I probably won't take it anywhere, but I've had a lot of fun since I've had these things the past week or so. So until the next episode, we'll see you. Doug's Amp of the Day.